So you know how before you walk into a plane, they got to check your bags, you go through a metal detector, all that? Well, back in the day, they used to not do this. You used to be able to walk straight into a plane. But everything changed because this guy, Dan Cooper, he walked right into a plane, took it hostage, said, give me $1 million, and got away with it. But how? Well, it all started because Dan had a problem. That boy needed money, so he walked right into a plane with a boom device. Remember, you could walk right in. He walks in, sits down. He sees Tina. She's a flight attendant. He says, Mama, come here real quick. She said, huh? He said, take this note. He gives her a note. But she thinks he's a random dude just hitting on her. So she takes the note, she puts it in her pocket and walks away. He said, girl, read the note. She reads the note. It says, I got a kaboom device. She goes, okay. He says, is she stupid? He opens his briefcase and it's a kaboom device. He says, look, sit down. She sits down. He tells her, look, now that I got your attention, I want $1 million. He asked for like $200,000, but that's around $1 million in today's dollars. Anyway, she says, okay. So she hits up the flight crew. She said, hey, bro right here want $1 million. They said, we ain't got that. He said, I'm not asking y'all for it. Tell the police. The captain says, okay, watch your tone. But all right, I'm going to do that for you. He calls the police. The police said, we ain't got that. So the police hit up banks around the area. They get the milli. Now, he then asks for something else. I want you to listen closely. He says, I need 4 parachutes. They said, okay, 4 parachutes. They get the 4 parachutes. Now, it was quickly becoming apparent to FBI and police that this dude was no scrub and he knew what he was doing. And here's where it starts to get wicked. They land the plane. The police are thinking, okay, now it's time to catch him. But he says, look, this is what I want you to do. Give me the parachutes and the money. I let everybody go. Police are like, okay, perfect. That's when we catch him. They give him the money. They give him the parachutes. He lets everybody go, except the captain and 3 other people. Now, this is one of the first of Dan's many clever chess moves. By releasing all the hostages, the police are thinking, okay, we can play this game with him a little longer. He's not dangerous, so we don't have to rush the plane just yet. Dan tells the police, look, I'm going to keep flying. That's why I'm keeping the captain and 3 other people to help him fly. He then says, this is another one of his clever chess moves, I hope you know why I asked for 4 parachutes. He says, because when I fly out this plane, I'm going to take 3 random people with me. And if these parachutes don't work, then so be it. They tell him the parachutes will work. Go on, fly. Now, according to the flight attendant, Dan is actually a really cool guy. He's pretty chill, having conversations with everybody. In fact, he's so chill that when he received the $1 million, she's like, can I have some money? He gives her some money. She goes, oh, no, I was just joking. She gives it back. She's like, I can't take tips. Now, I hope you're keeping up so far. He landed, he got the money, he released the hostages, but he's keeping the main flight crew so he can fly to a new airport. Now, remember, he's pretty chill, so he goes over to him and they like kind of helping him plan. They're like, okay, so if you go to Reno, that's when you can get some like more fuel for the plane, and then you can go over to like Mexico. He go, okay, bet. Another flight attendant who was actually part of the group, she says, can I leave too? He goes, oh yeah, you can do whatever you want. Dan then goes, all right, y'all, let's roll. So they take off. Now remember, it looks like they're heading to Reno to get some gas. So the police are thinking, okay, let's get to Reno. Let's get everything set up. 20 minutes into the flight, Dan makes his 3rd clever chess move. He jumps out of the plane by himself. And how he jumps out is he tells our flight attendant girl, Tina, he says, open the back staircase. Let me show you the back staircase. Right there. He said, open that. I'm going to jump out. She says, yo, if I open that, I'm going to fly out the plane. He says, girl, you're going to be fine. She says, how you know that? Well, remember when I told you he ain't no scrub? See, throughout this whole ordeal, he's been saying small things that have led police and the flight crew to believe he knows a little bit about planes. They gave him the manual for the parachutes that he now has. He says, I don't need it. He tells the flight crew to fly really low and keep the landing gear open. They tell him, dude, that's not possible. He says, just do it. It'll work. They do it and it works. But he can tell she's scared. So he tells her, okay, just go with the rest of the crew. I'll open it myself. Before she leaves, she goes, Dan. He goes, yeah. She goes, the kaboom device. She's like, don't worry, I'll take it with me. So she goes over with the rest of the crew and they're like, oh, they actually hit him up on the radio. They're like, bro, you need help? He's like, no. Well, he flies out the plane and becomes an overnight sensation. So police say, all right, bet. See, police can't let this slide. If somebody gets away with, it's $1 million into daytime, remember, with this amount of money, it's going to be a problem. Oh, and you're about to find out why in a second. So police scour the area. Now, this data's from the FBI. They tracked his flight path. They know he jumped out over here, Washington area of the United States, and This is where they found some money that he left behind. They don't know why it was left behind, but some hikers found it years later. Now, they find a guy named D.B. Cooper. Remember, I told you his name was Dan Cooper. Yeah, listen closely. D.B. Cooper lived in the area. He was a petty criminal. Dan Cooper is the name they saw on the flight booking. So they said, okay, cool. So they go over to D.B. Cooper's house, but they knew it wasn't him. Why? Because he was home. And this was right after bro flew out the plane. So they knew he must have still been in like the foresty area. There's no way he could have gotten to that house in time. So D.B. Cooper actually didn't do anything. He was just some random guy. Dan Cooper is the one who jumped out the plane and all that. A news reporter got confused, wrote D.B. Cooper, and the name stuck. But again, remember, his name is Dan Cooper. Anyway, Dan is nowhere to be found. They brought the Army, they brought the FBI, they brought agents from all over because they needed to find this guy. They knew they were running out of time. Why? Because people are like, yo, if he got away with it, I can get away with it. In the next year, 31 people, that's a lot of people, tried the same exact thing as Dan Cooper. Went in, took the plane hostage, asked for parachutes, tried the same thing. Every single one of them were caught because they always missed the step that Dan Cooper had. And also at this point, the police were already locked in. Now, hold on. One of these people they caught was named Richard McCoy. Uh-oh, does that look familiar to you? His kids said, yo, my dad, yeah, he did that. He was Dan Cooper. But that's cap. Even though they look similar, they brought this guy's picture to the flight attendant, and a lot of people saw Dan Cooper. Everybody looked at the picture, they're like, no, that's not him. They even pointed out key differences. They said the ears, no, the nose, definitely no, not the guy. Now, after all those people tried to copy Dan Cooper, they installed metal detectors, they started checking people's bags, and being a lot more secure for flight. And that made people stop immediately. As for Dan Cooper, he became a sensation. He was never caught. In fact, people still dedicate their lives to trying to solve this mystery. The FBI stopped in 2016. They're like, you know what? He gone. By the way, this happened in 1971. So the FBI investigated for like 45 years. So if you're ever late to your flight because they got to check your bags, I guess you could blame Dan.